Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is going to be another diamond paint with me while I continue working on Treasure Studios art Cherry Blossom by Lizzie Falcon. Someday I will be done this diamond painting. Don't know when that will be. But next is going to be Maleficent because that will take us right into the fall and Halloween for sure. So I'm actually late in recording this video. Today it is about 1:30. My job just ended. And the morning just got away from me because my boss accepted a big job that's 50 days of an evidentiary hearing for the rest of the year, starting at the end of August and going through December. So I've been scrambling to get the days on the calendar, get coverage secured and all of that, because everyone's not ever always available for all of these dates, right? So, yeah, fooling with that. And then, of course, I walked on the treadmill and did the house stuff and got myself ready, and yeah. So nothing really of note yesterday. Again, I was off work yesterday, but did a bunch of stuff, and we had leftover meatloaf for dinner. And remember when I said that our garbage disposal leaked and we had to get a new one? So I had taken everything out from underneath of our kitchen sink. You know, we keep our dishwasher tabs there, paper towels, cleaning supplies, all that kind of stuff. And I decided, I had the stuff sitting on the table, and Bill says to me, "Hey, can you try to find a mat to go under here?" Because remember, he's lived in this house something like 28 years, something like that. And so the bottom of the cabinet, it's like warped. You know, it's cheap particle board. So it's like warped and crappy. And I was like, yeah. So I found one. Now I found one, it was like $50, but I figured it got good reviews. I thought though, the size that I ordered, I ordered it, it's like a tan color. I thought that he was going to have to cut the back of it to fit around the pipes. And he was like, not a big deal. I was like, okay. So I was kind of not anxious, but just like, this is going to be a big giant pain in the ass, you know. So we got the mat yesterday. And he pulls it out. First off, I was concerned about it being bent up in the box because there were a handful of people that had commented and said theirs came bent and they had to like lay heavy books on it. And I thought, Jesus Christ, you know, that stuff usually happens to us, seriously. So it came, it was perfect. It wasn't bent up at all. And when he put it under there, it fit perfectly. We did not have to cut anything. I was floored. I was floored and happy, because when stuff like that happens, that like made the rest of my day. Like something as simple as that, because normally everything is just a pain in my ass. And I was just so happy. You have no idea. So, we had dinner, we watched some TV. I started a new stitching project, which if you watch my stitching vlog, you'll be able to, that's going to come out on Saturday. You'll be able to see what that is. And yeah, so I did have someone buy me 3 coffees, Peg. And she says, loving your stitching videos. A lot of you are loving the stitching videos. I'm afraid, though, that they're going to become boring, only because I'm probably going to have a focus piece, what I started yesterday. And it's just going to be me updating you on that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll put some stitches in my other projects, too, just so I have something to show you guys. Yeah, no. But I don't have a ton of stitching time. I really don't. because in the evening, now I've been toying with the idea of going to bed early, getting up with Bill, and then stitching in the morning. Because I get up at 4:15 with him and stay up. I have about 6 hours in the morning before my job would start, but I don't know. I used to do that. That's how I used to do it. Yep, I used to stitch in the morning. I never stitched in the evening. I know. Because by the time the evening came and I was done work, my ass was tired from being up all day. See, it's different for Bill because, you know, he gets off work at 2:30. And, you know, some days I'll work till 6, 7 o'clock. Yeah. We'll see, though. So, Peg, thank you so very much for the coffees. I did get a coffee yesterday at Starbucks. It was very good. Yeah, I needed a skein of floss from Michael's, so at about 4:30, I said to Bill, hey, you want to ride with me to Michael's? And then I like to get a coffee because Starbucks is in the same plaza. And he was like, yeah. So it was good. I got a small mocha. Yeah. I have enough for about 28 more coffees. I was like, let's go, right? Okay. So today's story. I got to find it first. Okay. Today's story is called Devin Must Die. Okay. So, Devin Guzman, Kiri Renner, and Michelle Hetzel were all 19 years old, fresh out of high school, and involved in a steamy love triangle. Oh, boy. You know, I've never been in a love triangle. Don't wish to be in one. What a friggin' nightmare. Kiri and Michelle were also recently married, which added further spice to the mix. Spice? No. In truth, these were sham marriages. The two young women had no real interest in men. They had wed their respective spouses with one thing in mind. They wanted to make an impression on the real object of their desires, Devin Guzman. What's so great about this guy? You know, when I hear stuff like that, I always wonder, what's so great about this person? Right? I mean, they're 19. You have your whole life ahead of you. There's other people out there. Okay. So just how this complicated situation got started is unclear, except that the girls first became sexually involved while they were high school classmates in Easton, Pennsylvania. After they graduated, Kiri married a soldier and Michelle wed Brandon Bloss, the 26-year-old son of her foster mother. The fuck? Both of them apparently had gone into these unions with the sole purpose of making Devin jealous. Why would you fucking marry somebody to make somebody else jealous? This has trouble written all over it, and I'm 2 paragraphs into the story. Kiri, as it turned out, was soon to be relieved of her marital obligations as her husband was shipped overseas. That left her with an empty house, and she soon invited Devin to move in, much to Michelle's displeasure. I bet. Desperate to regain the initiative, Michelle came up with a big idea. Using her husband's credit card, she booked a vacation for 2 in the Virgin Islands, and she and Devin flew out for a romantic getaway. This guy probably thought, I've hit the fucking jackpot. 2 women want me and are willing to support me, let me move in with them, take me on a lavish vacation. What the fuck right now? While they were in St. Croix, they exchanged rings and vows. What the fuck? When Brandon found out, he was understandably enraged, and this was the landscape that was created for an impending disaster. Yeah. I'm thinking your husband was going to be upset if you exchanged vows with another man. What? So on the night of June 14th, 2000, Devin and Michelle, freshly returned from their vacation, met up at Devin's father's house, a frequent rendezvous spot for them. An impromptu party was in session, and they both joined in, enjoying several drinks before Devin announced suddenly that she was leaving. That sparked an argument, with Michelle accusing her of running back to Carrie and demanding to know why she had still not moved out of... Devin is a guy. What? No, I guess Devin is a woman? Devin is a woman. Okay, the only guy in this is Brandon. That was so confused. Okay, so Devin's a woman. Okay. They don't have pictures of everybody. So they were at Devin's father's house, and they enjoyed several drinks before Devin announced suddenly she was leaving. That sparked an argument, with Michelle accusing her of running back to Carrie and demanding to know why she had still not moved out of Carrie's house, despite promising to do so. Okay, so let me rephrase all of what I had said before. I had said, what's so great about this guy? What's so great about this woman? So it ended with Devin storming off, driving away in a squeal of tires. But Devin still had another jealous lover to appease. So back home, she and Carrie got into it over Michelle. Devin assured her housemate that she and Michelle were done and that she had returned her ring. But that wasn't good enough for Carrie. The argument escalated and turned physical, and in the midst of this, there was a call from Brandon, Michelle's husband. Remember, he's in the military. After a brief conversation with him, Devin told Carrie that Michelle was sick and needed her help, and she said she was going over to Michelle's house. Carrie, however, would not let her go alone. She insisted on tagging along, and that was a huge mistake. Michelle got angry when she saw Carrie in the car and sent her husband out to tell her to leave. Devin then agreed to drive Carrie home, dropping her off at around 11:30 p.m. She then departed, saying that she was going back to Michelle's place and would return soon, but she never did. Just over an hour later, at 12:45 a.m., Carrie's phone started ringing. Michelle was on the line, which somewhat surprised Carrie. The two of them had barely exchanged a civil word lately. Michelle seemed genuinely concerned. Devin hadn't shown up at her house, and she was worried about her. And Carrie's response was somewhat muted. She knew Devin and knew that she had a penchant for the melodramatic, and so Carrie tells Michelle she's probably gone somewhere to cool off after everything that's happened tonight. Probably not. But Michelle was adamant, insisting that something bad had happened to Devin. So about 2 hours later, in another surprise move, Michelle and Brandon showed up at Carrie's house. And by now frantic, Michelle asked Carrie to call the police and report Devin missing, but you gotta wait more than 2 hours. When Carrie refused, Michelle made the call herself, and she then hung around for several more hours, hoping that Devin would show up, and eventually at 6:30 a.m., she and Brandon left. This isn't going well. But just a couple of hours later, Michelle was back, and if she had been anxious before, she now appeared to be having a full-fledged panic attack. "We've got to go looking for her," she told Carrie, noting that the police would not do anything for 24 hours. Remember, I just said that. Reluctantly, Carrie agreed, and Michelle then suggested that they begin their search at Hugh Moore Park, a favorite makeout spot for her and Devin. That turned out to be a good call, as they spotted Devin's vehicle parked on the canal bank. Oh boy. So it was at this point that Michelle's demeanor inexplicably changed. Before, she had been desperate to find Devin, and now she refused to get out of the car. Carrie approached Devin's car alone and spotted her friend right away. Devin was curled up on the back seat, a green jacket draped over her. It was immediately evident that something was wrong. Devin's face was paper white, her lips an ugly shade of purple, and Carrie knew at a glance that she was dead, so she ran to find a park employee, and the park employee was the one who called the police. So Devin had been killed by an ugly gash that ran from one side of her throat to the other, terminating at the spinal cord. Dear God! Both her carotid and jugular had been severed, and her tongue was deeply lacerated. Such injury should have left behind a massive amount of blood, and the absence of the blood told police this was the secondary crime scene, so Devon had been killed elsewhere. Also found in the car was a syringe containing a clear liquid. The cap was missing, and it appeared that it had been left there to create the impression that Devon had killed herself with a deliberate overdose of some drug, but given the injuries inflicted on her, that idea was beyond ludicrous. Yeah, I mean, police aren't stupid, right? So initially, the investigation focused on Carrie because the tensions between her and Devon were no secret. Carrie even admitted when interviewed that the two of them had been involved in a physical altercation on the night of the murder. Now we're up here. But suspicion soon switched to Michelle and Brandon. A search of their home turned up several incriminating objects, including blood-spattered items of clothing and the cap of the syringe that had been found next to Devon's body. You big dummies. The police also learned from the couple's neighbors that Brandon had spent hours hosing down the patio of his house on the morning that Devon's body was found. But perhaps the most devastating piece of evidence was retrieved from a trash can at the couple's home. You big freaking dummies. You need to throw that shit away like miles away from your house, not in your own fucking trash can. God, can we stop being so freaking dumb? So what they retrieved was a bandage with a blood pattern on it that suggested it had been used to cover a bite wound. Obtaining a warrant, investigators examined both of the suspects and found the injury on Brandon's left forearm. This was photographed and sent to a forensic odontologist for examination and comparison with Devon's dental records. The result was damning and unmistakable match. Brandon and Michelle were arrested soon after and charged with first-degree murder. In the run-up to the trial, Michelle's lawyers tried desperately to have her case severed from that of her husband. This was ultimately denied, but the reason for the maneuver would become clear once the matter came before a judge and jury. Can you imagine? I want that kind of case. The stuff we have is like watching fucking paint dry. So Michelle's defense was to blame Brandon for everything. Her lawyer trotted out a succession of witnesses, including Brandon's own mother, in an attempt to pin culpability on her co-accused. Michelle also took the stand herself, swearing under oath that she had not laid a finger on Devon. Unfortunately, for Michelle, these attempts at blame shifting would be undone by her inability to keep her mouth shut. Nobody can keep their yap shut. Stop the yippee yapping. Shut up. So in the aftermath of the murder, she had spoken to several people of her involvement. One witness, a woman named Kara Judd, told the court that Michelle had admitted to her that she had killed Devon. According to Kara, Michelle had been angry with Devon for bringing Kiri to her house, and when Devon later returned alone, the two women got into an argument which soon turned physical. Brandon tried to intercede on behalf of Michelle and was bitten for his trouble. Then Michelle picked up a knife and attacked Devon. Michelle had told the witness that she did not actually remember cutting Devon. She said, "I picked up the knife and the next thing there's blood everywhere." Whether Michelle really had developed a case of selective amnesia in the aftermath of it is a moot point. What matters is that she admitted to murder and had taken steps to avoid detection. With Devon lying dead at her feet, she and Brandon made the decision to cover up the crime. So yeah, you're done, dude. First, they loaded Devon's body into the back seat of her car, and then they drove the car to Hugh Moore Park. And before leaving, Michelle had the ludicrous idea of trying to make Devon's death look like a suicide. She planted the syringe and then returned home to start cleaning up the crime scene. Devon had been killed on the back patio, and Brandon spent a long while power washing the area, being seen by his neighbors as he was doing so, just like they said. Their blood-stained clothes were dumped in the washing machine, although surprisingly they had not washed them, and these items would later be found by the police. Again, you big freaking dummies. In addition to this forensic evidence, there was also testimony to suggest that the killing of Devon was not a spur-of-the-moment thing. Really? George Vine, a friend of both Michelle and Devin, told the court that Michelle had approached him 2 months earlier, offering him sex or cash if he would kill Devin. The fuck? And George refused. Regrettably, he had failed to inform Devin of the potential murder plot against her, and had he done so, she might have been forewarned. Maybe. So found guilty of first-degree murder, Brandon and Michelle were both sentenced to life without parole. Michelle is currently held at the State Correctional Institution in Muncie, Pennsylvania. She has not adapted well to prison life and has suffered frequent ill health and undergone 2 colon surgeries. Jesus Christ. In 2016, she filed an appeal against her sentence, saying that she was a juvenile at the time and that the possibility of parole should not have been denied to her. She was 19. This petition was never going to succeed because federal law defines a juvenile offender as someone 19 years or younger, and Michelle was 19 years of age on the night that she killed Devin. So, you big freaking dummy. Was it worth it? No. No, it was not. Not at all. People are so freaking dumb. Just let her go. If you, she probably didn't want her to be with the other girl. What was the other girl's name? I don't even remember. That story was a little bit confusing in the beginning because I thought Devin was a man. No. Okay. We always end on a positive affirmation from A Year of Positive Thinking by Cindy Spiegel. Today is Tuesday, August 10th. Today is actually my stepmother's birthday, and what's nice is they are all in Ocean City for vacation. So I texted her, and yeah, so that's good that they're on the vacation, right? Okay, so this one is titled An Exercise in Perspective. Write a letter to your future self. Tell yourself who you are today, what your greatest fears are, and what you believe in. What are your goals? What do you hope to get even better at? Give yourself advice and share life lessons. Seal up the letter and store it in a safe place. Set a reminder on your calendar to mail the letter to yourself 1 to 3 years from today. And they said, yes, mail it. Years from now, you will open the letter and discover the perspective that can only come with time. That's interesting. That would be an interesting little experiment to do, wouldn't it? What I think that most people could even do too is start journaling. Because if you start journaling and then even a year from now read what you wrote in a journal, you would probably be like, oh my God, yeah. But that's an interesting little thing to mail yourself a letter 3 years from now. Because in a little bit, you would probably forget what you had written in the letter, kind of like a time capsule kind of thing, right? Do you remember doing those as kids? We did one in elementary school. Would have loved to have seen what was in that. Yeah. But okay, I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Tuesday. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.